understand she couldn't be number one. There is only one number one in the monarchy, and she didn't understand hierarchy. And she thought that, because I think Harry is a sort of really decent bloke, but easily influenced. And I think he's found great love with her. Spiteful fury by Meghan. Meghan gets what Meghan wants.
What was spiteful about it?
Well, to be rude to the...
Okay, listen. Everyone's got their fair share of juicy royal gossip, but this is on a whole different level. We're not talking about some random tabloid writer digging up old stories. Oh, no. We're talking Tom freaking Bauer, the man whose name alone makes billionaires clutch their pearls and politicians break out in cold sweats. This guy isn't some rookie with a pen. For over 4 decades, he's been Britain's most feared biographer. His motto? No one is untouchable. Like, come on. Robert Maxwell tried to shut him down and failed miserably. Richard Branson sued him and got crushed, and Conrad Black tried the legal warfare route and ended up humiliated. Bauer doesn't just write books, he ruins empires.
Michelle Obama was not as a big fan of Meghan Markle as it seems, claimed Tom Bauer in his exclusive.
But honestly, nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared the world for what happened when Tom Bauer decided to lock his sights on the most controversial duo in modern royal history. Just imagine this for a second. A live television studio, millions glued to their screens, cameras zooming in, hosts expecting a neat little royal chat, and then Bauer leans forward, looks straight into the camera with this icy calmness, and just drops a bomb. "I don't mind Harry," he says, voice steady like a judge about to deliver a verdict. "It's Meghan I'm after." Boom! The whole studio froze. Twitter, it went into complete meltdown mode. Within hours, that clip was everywhere. But this wasn't some wannabe chasing clout. This was Tom Bauer, the same man who had dismantled powerful tycoons. And now, the Sussexes were in his crosshairs.
Oh.
Hi, Daddy.
Congratulations.
I got an English award.
This wasn't speculation. This wasn't analysis. This was a declaration of war. One man, one sentence. And the ripple effects would be felt for years. Tom Bauer had spent years quietly gathering everything. And now he was about to drop the most brutal, surgically crafted takedown of the Sussex brand that anyone had ever seen. The same unstoppable investigative machine that had shaken up business empires was now aimed at Harry and Meghan, with chilling precision.
Rift with William looks pretty implacable. If you can't come together at a moment like this, when can you?
Well, as I said last night...
To even understand the storm that was about to hit them, you have to get who Tom Bauer is. This guy isn't some gossip columnist scraping the internet for headlines. He's a force of nature. He's spent his life burning down the walls of the rich and powerful. He doesn't lose. Period. He cut his teeth at the BBC for 25 years, mastering the art of exposure like a surgeon sharpening a scalpel. But it was when he moved to unauthorized biographies that everything changed. That's when he became the monster under the bed for the elite.
Meghan Markle has not had a good week. It all started when earlier this week, Tom Bauer, who is a very famous...
His method, brutal but effective. He finds the people closest to his targets, the ones who know everything, and digs out their secrets. Then he serves them back to the world like court evidence. Take Robert Maxwell, for example. The man was so terrified of what Bauer had uncovered that he actually bought entire publishing companies just to stop the book from coming out. He even tried breaking into Bauer's house, snooping through his phone and bank records. Who does that? A desperate man.
I will likely not be making any more videos about the book Revenge by Tom Bauer, which is coming out this week.
But Tom, he didn't even flinch. When Maxwell, the outsider, finally hit the shelves, it ripped the man's empire to shreds. Maxwell's reputation never recovered. His empire crumbled, his sons faced charges, and the legend of Bauer grew. Then came Richard Branson. Branson strutted into court thinking his millions would silence Tom. Instead, he got steamrolled, lost the case, paid damages, and then had to sit back as Bauer kept writing about him for years afterward.
At home, why is it always so negative? Everything talked about Meghan is so negative.
Because of the hypocrisy.
And don't even get me started on Conrad Black. This newspaper baron was convinced he was untouchable. But Bauer's investigation was so lethal, so devastating, that Black went from being a media kingpin to a convicted fraudster sitting in prison. Imagine that. This is why Tom Bauer terrifies people. It's not just that he digs deep, it's that he never backs down. Lawsuits, media outrage, career suicide. He doesn't care. He's the kind of man who stared down giants and walked away every single time without a scratch. His sources aren't just random gossipers whispering over coffee. No, these are the real insiders. Former friends, ex-advisors, family members who once defended the very people he's investigating. They come with receipts, documents, recordings, inside details that were never meant to see the light of day. So when Bauer announced he was turning his gaze toward Harry and Meghan, oh, honey, everyone in royal watching circles knew exactly what that meant. This wasn't going to be some soft palace-approved biography. Nope. This was going to be a full-blown no-prisoners investigation. This man was about to do what he does best: cut through all the glossy PR fairy dust and drag every single secret out into daylight. Because remember, this wasn't some mysterious royal couple living quietly in the countryside. This was Harry and Meghan, a couple who claimed they wanted privacy, but signed multi-million-dollar deals to tell their story to the entire world. And just like that, Tom started making calls. Quietly, no fanfare, just Bauer, a phone, and his contacts. The same formula that had ended careers, but this time his targets weren't hiding behind corporate doors. They were living under a global spotlight, every move analyzed, every word dissected. And that spotlight, it was about to turn into their biggest nightmare. October 31st, 2022. Good morning, Britain. It was supposed to be just another chat about Prince Harry's upcoming memoir, Spare. But, oh no. What went down in that studio that day lit a fire that burned across every corner of royal gossip land. Tom Bauer sat across from Ed Balls and Susanna Reid, looking perfectly calm. The hosts expected a nice discussion about the book. Instead, what they got was a live declaration of war. Ed pressed him on free speech, on the couple's right to tell their story. And then Tom, with that slow, icy delivery, said it. They have the right to go on Oprah. They have the right to write their book. His voice growing sharper, colder with each word. But they shouldn't have the recognition of being part of the royal family with their titles. And then, without blinking, without softening it, he dropped the hammer. I don't mind, Harry. It's Meghan I'm after. The air left the room. The hosts were frozen. This wasn't some off-the-cuff remark. This was Tom Bauer drawing a line in the sand, live on air. Within minutes, social media blew up. The clip was dissected frame by frame. Some people were horrified, calling it threatening. Others applauded him for saying what they'd been whispering for ages. But everyone missed the most chilling part. This wasn't emotional. Tom wasn't angry. He was calm, calculated. This was what he always did. Make it public first, destroy in private after. When challenged, he didn't walk it back. He didn't apologize. Instead, he doubled down. He made it clear his book, Revenge, was going to expose what he called the couple's lies and hypocrisy. He even pointed to 17 inaccuracies in their Oprah interview. 17. This wasn't just gossip. This was war strategy. The palace stayed silent. No defense of Meghan, no condemnation of Bauer. Just this cold, eerie silence, which, if you've ever followed royal politics, speaks louder than any statement. Bauer knew exactly what that silence meant. They weren't going to protect Meghan. They were going to let him do the dirty work. The day Revenge hit the shelves, it was like a grenade rolled right into Harry and Meghan's carefully built PR palace. And make no mistake, Tom Bauer didn't just write a tell-all. Oh no. He crafted something that felt like a prosecutor's closing argument. Every chapter was an attack. Sharp, specific, and devastating. The revelations started pouring out like hot tea. Allegedly, Meghan once threw tea in the air during a fiery confrontation with palace staff. He painted this picture of a woman clashing with royal protocol, demanding things that made seasoned royal aides roll their eyes behind closed doors. And honestly, the detail was so surgical, it didn't feel like rumor. It felt like someone had been in the room. The contrast was brutal. When the Mail on Sunday published Meghan's letter to her father, they went nuclear in court and won. When tabloids printed far less serious claims, legal threats flew. But with Bauer's Revenge, crickets. Behind the scenes, royal insiders whispered that this silence wasn't strength. It was panic. They knew that challenging Tom Bauer meant giving him more oxygen. And honestly, the man thrives on oxygen like that. One source even allegedly said, the less we say, the better. But that only made it worse. Because when they didn't push back, the silence itself became its own headline. Royal commentators started speculating, if this stuff was false, why not sue? And slowly, people began to think maybe, just maybe, Bauer wasn't bluffing. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace's move? Oh, it was icy perfection. They didn't utter a single word. And in the royal world, that's not nothing. That's calculated, because when they want to kill a story, they flood the media with counter-narratives or issue official denials. But when they want a story to breathe, they do exactly what they did with Revenge. Stay quiet and let someone else do the dirty work. And it worked. Media outlets ran the juiciest bits without fear of palace retaliation. Royal commentators tore into the Sussex narrative with zero hesitation. It was like Tom Bauer had opened the door and everyone just rushed in. Behind the velvet curtains of the palace, insiders were reportedly delighted. Years of frustration, years of watching Harry and Meghan launch grenades at the institution, and now someone else was finally hitting back. And the palace didn't even have to lift a finger. The timing couldn't have been worse for Harry and Meghan either. They were gearing up for their Netflix series and Harry's Spare memoir launch. This was supposed to be their narrative moment, their big emotional, carefully polished story. Instead, they found themselves constantly swatting away Bauer's allegations, unable to control the conversation. And let's be real, Tom Bauer wasn't done, not even close. After the book's release, he made it very clear in interviews this was just the beginning. His next move? Even bigger. He straight up said he believed Meghan was working on her own memoir, her big truth bomb. And instead of being worried, he looked almost excited. Why? Because he already had the receipts. He'd spent years building sources around the Sussex circle, Hollywood insiders, former staff, even disillusioned family members. He was ready. And then came The Whispers, the follow-up book, reportedly titled The Archie Deception. And if the title alone didn't make people clutch their pearls, the subject certainly did. Bauer was allegedly digging into one of the most mysterious hush-hush chapters of the Sussex story, the unusual secrecy surrounding Archie's birth. Unlike previous royal babies, there had been no public hospital photos, no traditional announcements, just secrecy. And for years, that had fueled speculation. Bauer wasn't speculating, he was investigating. And remember, this wasn't some man throwing conspiracy theories on the internet. This was Tom Bauer, the same guy who crushed billionaires. He had sources, documentation, people who were there, people who knew things. He understood their media strategy too. Harry and Meghan had mastered the art of shaping narratives through friendly journalists and carefully timed leaks. So Bauer, he built his own counter-network, people feeding him their side of the story, ready to challenge the Sussex spin in real time. And here's where it gets wild. Bauer's next target wasn't just their royal reputation in Britain. He wanted to hit where it would hurt the most, Hollywood. Because their entire brand, the multi-million-dollar deals, the Netflix empire, the Spotify partnership, which, by the way, had already fizzled out, depended on their image as the wronged couple, the truth-tellers, the victims. But Bauer was systematically cracking that image. And if he could make America question it, oh, that would be catastrophic for them. This was never just about a couple. This was about protecting an institution. The monarchy has survived 1,000 years on mystique and silence. Harry and Meghan's approach? Expose, monetize, repeat. To someone like Bauer, that wasn't just tacky, it was dangerous. And in his mind, he was defending the crown with receipts.